Okay, we're going to be finishing this week, because I know you have an inset day tomorrow, so we're going to be finishing this week using our knowledge of multiplication and applying that to solving area. To be successful, you're going to use your previous knowledge of 2D shapes that you've learned in years 3, 4 and 5. You're going to use your knowledge of multiplication that we've been looking at this week, and you're going to apply that knowledge to solve problems. So first of all, how do I calculate the area of a quadrilateral? Well, the first thing I need to do is I need to understand what area is. Now, area is just the space inside a 2D shape. The space inside a 3D shape, for example, any shape you can pick up would be called volume, and we will cover that after half term. We're just looking at area, so we're just going to be looking at 2D shapes. 2D shapes are drawings on a piece of paper that you can't physically pick up the shape. And last thing I'm going to look at here is quadrilateral. I know that quad means 4, so it just means a 4-sided shape. Bit of a reminder how to do that. So how do I find the area then? Well, to find the area, I'm going to be doing height multiplied by its base. So if I know the height of my shape, this side here, and I know the base of my shape, that side there, then I can multiply those two together, and that is going to give me the space in the middle, or the area. So let's have a look at my 3 shapes at the bottom, my 3 quadrilaterals. On the left I have a square. I know it's a square because from your work last week on perimeter, you'll know that those little lines on each side means that they are the same length. So here, my height must be 7. My base, now base can be at the top, it can be at the bottom. As you can see that they are the same size. Just like my height could be on the left, could be on the right, because you'll see that they are the same size. So here my height is on the top, so it's 7. 7 multiplied by 7. 7 multiplied by 7 is 49, so my area is 49. Now this time, I know in perimeter you needed to make sure you had your units, so I'm going to make sure I have my units, centimetres. But this time, because we're looking at the area inside of a shape, and we're looking at 2D shapes, then my units will be centimetres squared. They have that little 2 to tell me that there are 49 centimetres, and because we're working in 2 dimensions, it will be squared. Effectively, there are 49 of these little 1 centimetre squares inside. But you don't need to worry too much about that. Just remember that in area it is centimetres squared. Or, in the case of my second shape, maybe millimetres squared. So my height is 18 millimetres. My base is 3 millimetres. 18 times 4 is 54. I'm going to have to write it this way now. So my area is 54, and this time I'm working in millimetres squared. Last one here then. My height is 2.5, my base is 6, so I'm going to have 2.5 multiplied by 6. I don't know how you do this. I taught you on Monday how to multiply by decimals, or I could do this in a slightly easier way. I could split this into 2 and then 0.5, so I could do 6 times 2 and it was 12. 6 multiplied by 0.5, a little tip here, 0.5 is the same as a half, which you should have learnt in year 5. So I could just find half of 6. If I say half 6, everyone in here, everyone listening will just go to say 3. So 12, add 3, my area must be 15, and I'm working in metres squared this time. So the hardest thing on that page is probably multiplying by 2.5. Once you've known the formula, you know your height, you know your base, you can calculate the area of any quadrilateral. Your task. Task 1 is to complete and find the area of these 6 shapes here using the formula. I would expect to see all of your workings around or on a piece of paper next to it or somewhere to show how you've calculated the area. When you're ready for task 2, play the video again. Okay, right, task 2 then. Finding the area of compound shapes. Compound shapes are just shapes that are made up of 2 or more others. 2 or more other shapes. And I can show you that very simply. Here is my compound shape. Looks a bit like an L shape. But I can see that I have one shape there and one shape there. Equivalently, I could have one shape here, and I could have another shape here. So knowing that there are those 2 shapes making up my compound shape, that will help me calculate the area of the inside of my 2D shape here. Because I can split my 2D shape up into 2 smaller, easier calculable shapes. So to find my brown rectangle here, I'm going to find the area of that. I'm going to be doing the height times the base. So the area equals height times the base, just a reminder. So my area is going to be the height of this one is 2 down this side, the base is 7 down the bottom. So the area of my brown shape will be 14 centimeters squared. Now let's go to the pink shape. So now I'm going to find the area of my pink rectangle. So area again equals height times base. Then my height here is 2. My base here is at the top, so it'll be 5. So that must equal 10 centimeters squared. Now the last thing I need to do is, once I've found the areas of both of my 2 rectangles, I'm going to be adding them up, which equals 24 centimeters squared. One more before I set you away. Sometimes there are missing sides. Now I can see here on my shape that I am missing the length of that side, and I am missing the length of this side, because I might need those sides in order to find my estimating. Now I did go through a similar thing when you were looking at perimeter, how to find those sides. So to find my brown side here, I know that the whole top to bottom is 8 centimeters. If I know 5 of it, then I know the remainder must be 3 centimeters down there. And equivalently, from left to right, if I know the whole left to right is 5 centimeters and I know 4 of it, then that must leave 1 centimeter gap in there. So once I have all of my sides, I might not use all of my sides, but I can then calculate the area of one part. So the height is 3, base is 5, that will be 15 centimeters squared. I can then calculate the area of my second part. This time the height I can see here is 5. If I use this height, well, if I use 8, well that isn't 8, because 8 goes all the way down to the bottom, and my brown shape doesn't go down all the way down to the bottom. So my height is 5, my base is there at the top, 4, equals 20 centimeters squared, and lastly all I have to do is add them together. So my overall area must be 35, no, I apologise, 35 centimeters squared. What I'd like to do now is use your multiplication knowledge, everything I told you, to complete task 2, solving these 6 compound shapes. You're finding the area of these 6 compound shapes. Once you've done that, there is a task 3 extension. Can you tell me who is correct, Louise or Ollie? And as per normal, all answers are at the bottom, as I'm sure you've already seen.